Hi everyone, my name is Leanne and today I'm going to be talking about the next 5 classic books that are on my TBR. I have a lot of classic novels that are on my TBR. You may be aware that I collect the Penguin English Library editions of classics. I absolutely love them. I think they are so stunningly beautiful and I think I appreciate them as like a collection and a form of decor as much as I do for being great literature. But I am much better at buying these books than I am at reading them. I do fully intend to read most of my Penguin English Library books, but it's kind of a long-term lifetime goal rather than something that is immediate. But I do like to, truck along with ticking these books off my TBR, and I like to break that down into small, manageable 5-book chunks and tell you very honestly how little I know about these books before reading them. I think sometimes there's this weird, embarrassment about not knowing a lot about a classic book that doesn't come with any other kind of subsection or subcategory or genre. I'm reluctant to call classics a genre because why would you know anything about a book before you read it? So I'm going to tell you very honestly how little I know about these books. And I think it's interesting to hear what preconceptions or even misconceptions I have about them because of how they've been absorbed into kind of just like public consciousness, I suppose. So the first book on this list is Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. There's quite a bit of damage on this cover, not loads. There's sort of a bit of a scuff mark and someone has also very clearly used it as a coaster. I get the vast majority of my Penguin English Library books secondhand and I really don't mind stuff like that. I think there's only been one instance where I haven't bought a Penguin English Library book because of how damaged it was. So I don't really mind stuff like this. But anyways, Oliver Twist. What do I know about Oliver Twist? Please, sir, can I have some more? And I don't even know if that's actually a line in the book. Was it just from the film? I don't know. I guess I'll find out. But literally, all I know about this book is that there is a poor kid in an orphanage who possibly wants some more. I am expecting a bit of social commentary in this book, of course. I have read a little bit of Dickens now. I read A Christmas Carol, I have read A Tale of Two Cities, I read Hard Times. The way I've kind of felt about reading his books is that I'm always glad that I've read them. I always feel like it's been an enjoyable reading experience, but I don't know if I necessarily put enough time or energy into them to get the maximum out of them. But we shall see how I get on with Oliver Twist one day when I eventually get to it. Next on my list is Tender is the Night by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I have read The Great Gatsby and I really enjoy The Great Gatsby. I don't really know much about this book either. I know it's also set in the 1920s. I know it's something about a marriage. It's much longer than The Great Gatsby was. When I first bought this, I ordered it online and I don't know why, but I expected it to be similarly slim to The Great Gatsby. I don't know why I assumed that. So I was surprised with the length of it. This is one of the more modern classics on this list, but it has been 100 years. We're in the 2020s. But because I really liked The Great Gatsby, I have a really strong feeling that I'm gonna like this one too. And I also feel that way about Silas Marner by George Eliot. George Eliot is one of my favourite classic novelists. Middlemarch is definitely one of my favourite classics of all time. I have also read The Mill on the Floss, and I've also read Daniel Deronda. Neither of those I enjoyed as much as Middlemarch. I studied Middlemarch at uni, I also studied Mill on the Floss at uni, and I just enjoyed them so much. I suppose because I studied them at uni, I was putting a lot of effort into getting the most out of them, and maybe that's why I haven't loved Dickens as much, is because I didn't really study Dickens at all at uni. But you don't need to put loads of work into classics to get something out of them. You can just enjoy them on a surface level, which I think you definitely can do with Dickens. But I have this experience of putting a lot of effort into George Eliot's novels, so I get a lot out of them. I don't know anything about anything that happens in this book. I really don't think it's one of those books that has been in any way kind of absorbed into public consciousness. But it is so much shorter than all of George Eliot's other books. Oh, I have also read The Lifted Veil, which was a shorter work by her as well. I don't really remember that much about The Lifted Veil though, but I do have quite high expectations for this one because I've loved George Eliot's books previously. So this next book is probably the one that I know the most about the actual contents of the story, and that is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This copy was very kindly gifted to me by my friend Shannon, so thank you so much for adding to my ever-growing classics TBR, Shannon. I know this is one of her favourites, so I'm really hoping I love it as much as she does, and I have seen the most recent film adaptation of Little Women and completely loved it. I think it's probably one of my favourite films of all time. I know this book follows the four March sisters, and I know the plot of the novel because of having seen that film, but I think it's going to be really interesting to compare the book to the film. I know that there's lots of slightly strange things about the novel that maybe like make sense as to why the author included them, because of like pressures for what a novel by a woman should be in that time, what a novel about for young girls growing into young women, pressures around what the kind of content of that book should be. Something that I really love about the covers of these books is the little symbol that is chosen to represent the contents of the book. And usually, you know, before going into these books, if you don't know anything about the story, you might not recognize the significance of that symbol until the end of the book. So I'm really I find it really cool that I recognize the significance of the scissors in this book. And the final book on this list is Howard's End by E.M. Forster. I really don't know anything about this book. Don't really know anything about E.M. Forster apart from I think he was gay, and I think there's like gay subtext to this book. I'm gonna be really disappointed if I'm wrong and I've like mixed this author up with someone else. There's a bookmark in this, but I've never tried to read this book. I did do a video where I spoke about my bookmark collection, and I did mention in that video that chances are there are probably some other bookmarks that were hiding between the pages of books on my shelves. And this bookmark is from Scoob Books in London, which is like a secondhand bookshop that I really love. So I think I must have just picked this bookmark up at the till and like slotted it into the book. I don't really remember buying this book, but I think I must have maybe bought it when I went to London for a job interview, maybe. Because I always kind of make it my mission whenever I get the chance to go to like a new place and, you know, explore some bookshops in that place that I want to find a Penguin English Library book. It's like the equivalent of a souvenir for me, and I think I might have got this when I went to London for a job interview. Anyway, that has nothing to do with the book, but I don't know anything about the book, so you got an anecdote instead. So there we have it, the next 5 classic books that I plan on reading. Have you read any of these books? What did you think of them? Do you think I will like them? If you want to find out more about any of these books, they will be linked down below in the description for you to check out. If you don't have anything particular to say down in the comments, just leave me one of your favourite emojis so I know that you're here. I hope you guys are doing well, and I will speak to you in my next video.